Can you see? It won't be as deepened as the front block. So that being done, so next thing is to take my sway back effect. I'm back to the sway back effect. So I'll just come here and take before I take this, I'll just come here and take 1/2 inch, come in 1/2 inch, right? You can make it 3/4 inch, it all depends on. Then connect it like so. So I haven't drawn that. So next thing is I'll also connect it to this time around, because I'll be applying I'll be adjusting the hip here. So rather than connect it straight towards the hip, I'll just make it the midpoint of the hip. So just look for the midpoint of this hip. This is roughly 9 inches. So look for the midpoint, which is here. So what I'll do is from this point, I'm going to connect it to the midpoint of the hip like so. So like so. Can you see? So I haven't done it that way. So I haven't done it that way. What this means is that this other part here is no longer relevant. Okay, this line here is no longer relevant. Okay, so this line here is no longer relevant. So next thing to do is to quickly take my darts. Okay, so here I'll be taking a dart of 1 inch. That's 1/2 inch, because I've already taken I've already done my sway back here. Okay, so to quickly do that, back darts, you don't need much for the back. Okay, so I'll just mark 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I'll connect it to these 2 inches above the bust line like so. 2 inches above the bust line like so. Okay, then here too I'll connect it 2 inches above the bust line like so. Then to my hip line, I'll measure 2 inches up. So I'll just connect it like so. Like so, and like so too. So I haven't done that. Next thing is to round it up by taking my horizontal measurement. So I'll just come here now and take from my bust. I'll take my bust. You know the back bust is reduced. Okay, the back bust is reduced. So for the back, let me see what I have for the back bust. Front bust is I took 10 1/4 inch. The back bust is 8 3/4 inch. So I'll just come here, measure whatever dart you have here first. You know there's a little piece of dart here going. So this is 0.3. okay, 0.3 the dart. So what I will do is this 8 3/4 inch for the darts. I'll first of all take for my bust, for the back bust, 8 3/4 inch for the back bust, 8 3/4 inch for the back bust. So the 8 3/4 inch got here. So what I'll do is I'm going to add this 0.3 darts here. I'm going to add it to it. 0.3, yes, to it. So it got here. Okay, so the same thing I'm going to do here too. 8 3/4 inch first. Make sure whatever you are measuring is on this new line, or this new line here. I am no longer interested on this other line here. Okay, you only get interested on this line from this point up. not from this point till I get to this part. So same thing, I've measured there, a 3/4 inch. This is it. Then I'll measure the 3/4, 0.3. So this is it exactly. Okay, so that being said, I'll come to my waist region, the back waist. Let me see what I measured for the back waist. The back waist is 7 1/4 inch compared to the front waist of 7 3/4 inch. So 7 1/4 inch, this is where it gets to, but it does not stop here because there's a dart here. So this is 1 inch dart, so I'll add 1 inch to it, so it stops here. Okay, so this is where the waist stops. So for the hip, I'll come to the hip line. So let me just draw this. Let me take this for the waist and the hip. For the waist, then we talk about the hip later. So that's for the waist and the for that. So now for the hip, we'll come to this hip now. Now, you know, I talked about allocating more proportion to the back compared to the back block compared to the front. Okay, so in this situation, for the front hip, the front hip is 10 inches, 9 inches. I took 9 inches for the front hip. Then the back hip, the back is going to, for the front block, for the hip, I took 9 inches. For the back, I'm going to take 10 inches. Now, how do I take this 10 inches? Please pay attention here because it's very important. All you need to do is, this is my 10 inches now. From here, there's no dart here, okay? So from here to here is 10 inches, right? So this is what I want to do. I'm going to add ½ inch for ease. But before I do that, this is my 10 inches. So I will come, rather than measure 10 inches from this point, I will come into this borderline and come in by ½ inch, meaning that I am spreading the 1 inch extra I added to the back. You know, I added 1 inch extra to the back, which made, instead of 9, I subtracted 1 inch from the front block, and I measured 9 for the front. So for the back, I added 1 inch extra, which made it 10. Okay, so rather than measure my 10 directly from this point, from this hip line, okay, so what I will do is I will come out like this. So this will now be 9.5. Okay, so I'll now measure 9.5 here and measure my ½ inch. So ½ inch of it will come out here. Okay, this is because the what is it called, the person, it all depends on who you are sewing for. Okay, if the person is not too pronounced or whatever, you can measure equally, that's hip divided by 4. But in this instance, I am taking it a little like this, okay, because of how the person is, the shape of the person, the butt at the back. So I'll just mark ½ inch. Can you see? Like so. So now this ½ inch, so what I'll do is I'll mark the ½ inch here. Then so from this point is where I'll take my 10 inches now, like so. So I'll now measure to where it is. Can you see? So what I will now do is, so the 10 inches will now contain from here to this point. Okay, but I'm not just going to stop like that, because it's the hip. I'm going to add just ½ inch to it for ease. So I'll add ½ inch, and what do? I'll take my tape rule and measure, you know, this point at which I connect the midpoint of this, between here and here, the midpoint. So I'm going to connect this now, this ½ inch, I'm going to connect it to, I'm going to connect it from here just to blend it. Okay, I'm going to blend it like so. So this is to make the hip more pronounced. Okay, so I'm just gonna blend it like so. Can you see? I'm going to blend it like that. So next thing, I'll come to this part. You know, this is the knee, this is the knee, and this is the gown length. Okay, so I'll measure the difference I have here. What do I have here? I have 15 here. Okay, so I'll just come here and measure 5.5 here. So I'll measure 5.5. or 6 inches, 6 inches, like so. So what I'll do is I'll also blend these parts. I'll connect it to this 6 inches here, just for, that's this 6 inches here, this is the 6 inches, just for it to blend well. That is why your curves are very important. If by now you have not bought your curve, please try and get a curve, because you can't really achieve all this perfectly well without. Can you see? So next thing is just down there. Okay, so to get this further, so next thing I'll measure this out and mark. Okay, let me just connect this. So this now becomes the hip. Can you see the shape? Lovely shape. So next thing is the same thing we did at the back. Okay, so I'll come here and measure 8 inches from the knee. So just come here. You know how we got 8 inches? Oh, so I'll just come here and I'll simply connect the line. So can you see the shape? What this means is that I've been able to share the extra 1 inch between the back block and the hip, because this person has hip too. Okay, I've been able to share it, so giving this part space for your butt to be free. Okay, so that means that when I want to cut, I'll be cutting along this line, like so, like so, like so, like so, then continue till I get to the end, which automatically means this other part is no longer relevant here. This line is no longer relevant. Okay, so having done this, next thing I will do is just to quickly add my side seam, my allowance for zip, because this is my back block. So how do I add my zip allowance? All I need to do is to go with the curve. Once you start marking, see from here, I'll mark 1.5 inch, or 1 inch. It all depends on what you want to leave for zip. Okay, let me say 1 inch for zip. Then the 1 inch will start from this point. Now from this point I'll mark 1 inch. I'll keep measuring 1 inch, going with the curve. Then I'll pick up my ruler and draw it out. Then I also take my curve and go exactly with the curve, and that's it. So as we can see, I am done with this back block. Okay, I'm done with this back block. Okay, and please, should in case you wish to add a vent, if I forget, should in case you wish to add vent at the back, all you need to do is just come here and measure 7 inches or 8 inches, depends on how high you want your vent to be. Okay, measure 7 inches, like so. Then you come out by how wide you want your vent to be. Normally the standard measurement is 2 inches for vent, but because this fabric is the pattern paper is not enough, so I'll just take 1.5 inches, like so. So you just square it up. I'll just square it up and I am good to go. So this will serve as my back vent. So next thing to do is just to cut it out and show us I'll join it together and see the outcome. So as you can see, this is my front block, this is my front block, and this is the back block. And if you notice, the front block is longer than the back block. Okay, this is because of the half length that is longer for the front block. So what do? Just simply fold in these bust darts. Let me fold in my bust darts, or simply let me just cut it out like so. Okay, so what do I do? I'll just take my masking tape. I'll just close it up like so. Okay, close it up like so, such that the bust comes out. Okay, I can use my masking tape at the back to hold it. So having done that, it gives me this. So having folded it, if you noticed, the bust, the shape of the bust is already coming out here. So when you look at this now, I have a perfect length. You will notice now that both the what is it called, the look at the waistline now, the half length for the back block, because this is the back block, the half length is equal to this half length now. Can you see? Can you see? The hip line is now equal between the front and the back, and the knee is now equal. Then the gown length is equal. Can you see the reason I told us that in order to perfectly get your gown perfectly well, I'm talking about gown without half length, you have to reduce the back half length. I reduced it by 2 inches. The same 2 inches I used it to take my bust darts. Now, having taken these bust darts, you can see now that the side, the back side, the front side and the back side are equal. This is to say that by the time I want to join the two, I will have no problem joining my gown. Now, having the back and the front block equal, look at the bust, the bust at the back. I also went further to allocate more to the back block than the front block. Thereby, by the time I join these together, I will have a perfect gown. So as you can see, I'm done sewing the paper, the pattern paper, though I didn't really find it easy, because sewing paper and turning it to the positive side is not really easy. Some parts of it got torn and all that, so I had to use sellotape to masking tape to like hold some parts that tore. But looking at the looking at the gown right now, we can see how fitted it is on her. It is not too tight and it is not too loose. Okay, this is how to perfectly sew your gown. Okay, if you follow these steps, you won't have problems sewing your gown. So as you can see how perfectly fitted it is on her. So I'll just turn round, I'll turn the mannequin round so that we'll be able to see the back side and how fitted it is at the back. So this is the back block. Can you see how flat down the zipper region is? There is no form of puckering around that region. Everything lies in your measurements. Like I always say, the difference between a perfectly finished dress and a poorly finished one is in your measurements. Do not joke with how you take your measurements.
If you enjoyed my video, kindly give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more sewing tutorials. Thank you.